The Science of Getting Rich and what I've learned from my mentor, Bob Proctor. I just got off the phone with Mr. Bob Proctor, who's my mentor and a big inspiration in my life, and someone that's arguably the most sought after coach up there with Tony Robbins in the entire world. And so I wanted to do a little video on some of the things that I learned from the calls that I've had with Bob over time, in hopes that it inspires you and some of our conversations around money, success, contribution, and spirituality. So this is Jake Ducey with JakeDucey.com, and I think you're really gonna enjoy this video. The first thing that I learned from Bob is that everything is in awareness. While we were just chatting a few minutes ago, I said, okay, Bob, here's where I'm at right now, but I want to get to here. And he said, well, there already exists. The only reason that you're not there is because of awareness. That awareness is the resulting thing of everything. Because all the energy that ever was and ever will be already exists, which means anything that you want that you don't already have already exists. It's just your own resistance that you've built against it. And he said one of the ways that he creates occasional resistance in his own life is the pattern in his subconscious that's so deeply ingrained. He's 82 years old. And part of it says, well, if you were younger, then you'd get to hear faster. And, you know, my invitation to you is to recognize what might be one of those ways you do that. He helped me point out, the first time we ever met was that I told him initially what my age was, as if that was an obstruction for me to get to where I want to be. So he told me, never say your age ever again. Never tell anyone your age in the context of what you do for your work ever again. And when you recognize that everything originates from spirit, from the same source, then, you know, it's like he uses the analogy from Thomas Troward, where Troward says that your job isn't to make the money come. Your job isn't to make the things show up. It's not to force the thing to happen. And he likens it to the engineer who finds the artesian well. Well, the engineer doesn't need to will that well to shoot up water. He's got to place the bore pipe in the ground and the water will come up. It's a natural upsurging. It's a natural process. And energy moves the same way within us. It's always pulsing and circling and moving in and through us. But we create our own obstructions to that energy. He says, Bob says, so $1 million is no difference than $1,000. It's just that you're not aware of that. You've created an obstacle in your mind that it's different. $1 million means nothing to spirit because it is spirit. It is pure energy. There is no difference. And to the degree that we don't recognize that we're already one with everything that we want is to the degree that we don't have that thing. And so I invite you to try on the same thing that I've learned from Bob, and trying on is the recognition that truly every single thing that ever exists and ever will exist comes from one originating source. And you're a part of that, and I'm a part of that. And when we realize that, we put ourselves in harmony with what we want. We don't have to run out of scarcity and fear and I need this thing, I need this thing. I already actually am this thing. And if we can relax into that, if energy is always flowing, then it's like the pipe that we calcify and we block the flow of it. So Bob said, you got to learn how to relax more. Spirit is always moving through you. Spirit's job is simply expansion and fuller expression. Naturally, that's what spirit is to do. So if you can form the image of what you want clearly, and if you can, instead of stress and strain and worry, how am I going to get there? How do I get here? If you can do the work, If you can show up, work hard, move positively towards that direction, measure your results along the way, and you measure your results by looking at your bank account, or you're looking at this, because your results are a reflection of your level of awareness, your level of awareness of your oneness with Source. If you realize you're one with Source, the money would be there already, or the love life would be there already. So he says, practice relaxing and allowing the energy to move through you so you stop building constrictions in your own energy field. Remember, you're one with everything already, and to the degree that you're unaware of that is to the degree that that thing that you desire hasn't yet shown up in your life. Number 2, stay in your own lane. If there's one thing that I've learned from Bob, it's to stay in your own lane. And, the temptation whenever we're going out and doing something is to compare ourselves to others, another thing is, and I was a victim of this for a long time, thinking that I needed someone else who was successful to help pull me up. Like I needed to network with successful people in my industry or I wouldn't be more successful. And, I asked Bob on the call today about Wayne Dyer and a couple other people. And he said, well, I don't really know what they do. I don't really look at what anyone does. And he said that amateurs compete, but pros create. Amateurs compete and pros create. He said you don't need to be on the competitive plane. I don't need to worry or spend time looking at what other people do, because what I'm doing is uniquely different. I'm doing it my own way. I'm following the inner spirit that's moving me forward. And he said you got to find your inner spirit. You've got to find your own inner vision and allow that to be the thing that pulls you forward, not what other people are doing to be the thing that pulls you forward. And what happens is we create our own suffering and stress and insecurity and confusion and lack of success because we get centrally focused on what everyone else is doing. And when we get centrally focused on what everyone else is doing, we're no longer being moved by spirit. We're no longer being moved from an inner vision. We're no longer being moved from an inner conviction. We're being moved by fear and worry and thinking that I'm not great in the image in which I was created, my own perfection, because spirit is perfect. I'm pure spirit. Therefore, I have my own perfection. We forget that, and then we look at how do I do it like them? And I'm always amazed whenever I chat with him how little attention he gives to anybody else that's going on outside of his vision. Gives all the time, sure, right? He's giving all the time, but he's not noticing and getting so focused on how do we do it like him? How do we do it like him? So remember this, amateurs compete, but pros create. Number 3, money is a reward for service rendered. Whenever I come to Bob and I say, hey Bob, I'm not making this goal or I'm not doing this, it always comes back to challenging me to provide more service and get more creative of how I can provide more service to the world. And what can happen is we can get on the pursuit of success or on the pursuit of a goal or on the pursuit of money, but then we lose touch with what it actually is. Money is a reward for service rendered. And if you want more money, forget entirely about the money and get totally focused on how you can add more value and provide more service to the world. And so if you're going after a goal, whether it's to get a raise in your company or you're trying to grow your business to a new level, you're trying to grow your income to a new level, a question you can ask yourself is quite simply, and sitting there, how can I provide more service? How can I provide more value? Bob said, don't ever forget this, Shake. Don't love money and use people. You've got to love people and use money as an instrument. Use money as an instrument. Use money as a tool. Use money as a tool to go do more good in the world. And remember, it won't come to you unless you do good first. So if you're not where you want to be yet, you've got to ask yourself, how can I provide more service? How can I provide more good to the world? Number 4, repetition of ideas. And one thing that's very interesting about Bob and something that I've learned from him is, a lot of people get stuck on trying to consume new information, and it becomes an obsession to consume new information. And Bob has a different approach to learning. Bob's approach to learning is the opposite, actually, is that you can't learn anything except through repetition of the same idea. So he just gave me an assignment that's 3 very short chapters. It's about 30 minutes of reading. And he told me to read the same thing once a day for the next 365 days. And that makes no logical sense to the mind, actually. It makes no sense at all. Why would you read the same thing every day for 365 days? But when you understand that you have a subconscious mind and that programming is so deep that it's exceptionally difficult for us to truly understand something. There's a difference between reading something, being able to regurgitate it, and truly understanding it. And through Bob, I've noticed that I spent most of my time on these 2 points. I could read something, I could regurgitate it, but what's understanding? It's a totally different atmosphere. And so if there's a certain book that really speaks to you, if there's a certain video that really speaks to you, try this. Try to study that for the next 14 days. Read the same book over and over and over again, or the same chapter every day for the next 14 days, or watch the same video every single day for the next 14 days. And see how every time you do it, Bob says that the first time you read something, you learn something new that wasn't there before. The second time you read it, you learn something about yourself that you didn't notice before. And our goal is not just to be an encyclopedia of half-used information. It's the application of wise principles, Bob says, that counts. So my invitation to you is the same invitation and challenge that Bob gave me, which is, how deeply can I actually apply what I'm doing? The mind's going to say this is boring, but we're trying to get into the spirit of it. And when we get into the spirit of it, our understanding actually starts to grow. Number 5, don't waste your time with extremely small goals. I told Bob one of my goals, and it was a really large goal. And he said, well, it's not that big of a goal. You're going to get there so fast, and when you get there, you're going to have a new goal. He said, the point of the goal isn't even to get there. The point of the goal is who you're going to become in the process. He said, everything's going to happen on divine time, so if it happens this year, that's great, but if it happens next year, that's great too. But the only thing that's keeping you from having it now is your awareness of yourself already having it. See, your paradigm, your old subconscious programming, he said to liken it to someone that does not want you to be successful. It's someone inside of you that does not want you to be successful. And it's going to pull you backwards. It's going to say, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do this. No, you have an image of $1 million in your head, but you're negative $86 in your bank account. No way that's possible. You're ugly. No way anyone's going to love you. And it talks to you like that. And the practice is, can I set a large enough goal where I have to go inward? I have to go inward and see the image of that at all times, and then make that become more real than the outer world, to live into it. He says to live into the spirit of that thing. Because your eyes are just telling you what you used to think. Your present reality is the reflection of what you used to think. So if you get a big enough goal, that really starts to bend what you thought about reality. You've got growth, and you've got a real challenge, and that real challenge is, can I actually start to reject the outer world? Because your mind is going to tell you, your subconscious will tell you, your paradigm will tell you all these things that seem real about why you can't do it, and why you can't this, and why this is a waste of time, and why this is a waste of time. But if you can get centrally focused, relax enough, connect to spirit, and form the clear image of what you want, and live into that, then you develop the awareness of someone who, let's say, your goal was $250,000 a month. If you can develop the awareness of that, start to believe that that's real, and not just wish and hope for that thing, what happens is you've developed the awareness of it. And when you develop the awareness of it, that thing shows up in your life. See, our results are a reflection of our level of awareness. So set a goal that's big enough to pull you, to stretch you, and develop the habit of starting to go within yourself, to go inward, and already get into the spirit of that thing. See yourself with it already and start to reject the outer appearance of things. And last but not least, Bob told me to brainwash yourself before the world does. You may have seen me talk before about my success hypnosis. I actually got the idea originally from Bob, who told me that it would be a good idea to make your own hypnosis and listen to that. So you can download my free success hypnosis. It's jakeshypnosis.com down below. It'll start to reprogram your paradigm and your subconscious mind around success and the things that you can create in your life. Be sure that you press the subscribe button in the corner, and I'll see you on the next video.